Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome everyone and Merry Christmas from House of the Unusual. I am your host, Joe Pavlansky, pop culture historian, writer for Scary Monsters magazine, and curator of the Crypt of Classics. Co-hosting, as always, is the maestro of mail-order mysteries and owner of houseoftheunusual.com, the one, the only, Santa Eddie Guevara. With us all the way from the kingdom of the sea monkeys is their king and the man with the impeccable character, TOD Machin. Todd, how's it going tonight, brother?
Really good. That was a wonderful intro.
All the way from the Sea Monkey Kingdom. I like that.
All the way from the Sea Monkey Kingdom. Their ruler and supreme
master.
Yeah.
Supreme master.
You know what? If you could see what I was sitting amongst, that's pretty accurate, actually. It's pretty much everything that's in my peripheral vision right here is Sea Monkey related, so...
I tell you what, I received, I can't remember if I text you or not or let you know, I got the sea monkeys you sent me, which was really cool. Thank you. I'm going to get them started actually tomorrow once I get some time. And I'm pretty excited because this will be my first foray into sea monkeys. So thank you a lot for sending that to me. And I may do a little video on it or even might just take some pictures, as I go along and do it on the forum. And kind of do like a, almost like a, how would you do for like a baby's book, like, baby's first day, baby's second day?
No, that'd be great. Yeah. I'm curious to see how it goes for you. So keep us posted one way or another. I'm very curious.
Yeah, Eddie, what's been new on your end over at House of the Unusual?
Well, other than the 17 feet of snow and the curled in, I just can't get the picture out of my mind. Well, and I can almost say that it's 100% factual. That Mr. Todd there, not only is he sitting around all the sea monkey memorabilia, but I have a feeling he had a throne made for himself as well.
I tell you what, I was very impressed with his video. Not only the quality of it, but just the sea monkey stuff in the background. I paused it a few times just so I could look to see what was up there. That was really cool.
Well, he calls himself, he said, you know how they say the person that is experienced, and I don't know if you remember that old Abbott and Costello where they're throwing the dice, and then Costello says, "I never played it before," and he goes, "Let her roll," or "Little Jack," and the guy gets him, Abbott gets him, smacks him around, says, "I thought you never played this before." He goes, "No, never." I think we got the same thing from Todd.
He's a hustler, but Todd, what's new in the world of sea monkeys? Got anything going on? Anything you could share with the audience?
Oh, let's see. There is a lot going on. I have I'm not really big on Christmas, and I haven't been for a long time. It's sort of like something that. It's big when you're a kid, and then it kind of loses its appeal. And then as our families gotten older and kind of distributed apart, we don't have the big family get-togethers like we used to. And of course, because of COVID, we have no family get-together this year. But I do have a package that was sent to me, courtesy of Transscience Corporation, that I'm supposed to save and open on Christmas morning. So I'm actually very excited about Christmas this year, and I have a countdown going. So.
That's good. That's awesome. We're all just big kids here. It's always good never to lose that. I guess that sense of wonder and excitement, and that we had as a kid. I can remember so many times. Wanting to stay up, for Santa and saying, I'm going to stay up, I'm going to sneak downstairs and I'm going to hide behind the couch so I could see him, when he comes. And I would wait, set my alarm or something for an hour and I'd wait till my parents go to sleep, and then I'd sneak downstairs because we lived in the Cape Cod, and I lived in the attic portion, and I'd sneak downstairs, and son of a gun, the presents would already be there, the cookies were eaten, and we never left milk. My dad always said you got to leave a shot for Santa. He likes his whiskey and cookies.
Nice.
So the cookies would be gone, the whiskey would be gone, and we always left little bones out for the reindeer, and all that was gone. I said, every year I miss Santa. So, there's always that sense of wonder, and I still try to, to keep it. I'm 40 now, and I still try to keep, that sense of wonder, not let adulthood, fully take over and lose that magic of the season. So what do you guys think of that?
I'll tell you what I think of wonder. I bet you that sense of wonder was the same thing Todd felt when he received that empty box, just wondering what the heck was
Yeah.
Eddie's like the dark Santa.
I wondered why I'm friends with this guy called Eddie Guevara is what I wondered.
Oh, no.
Eddie doesn't bring you coal. He leaves you empty boxes. I think that's even more torturous. I'd rather have coal. At least you could burn it and stay warm. With the boxes, you're like, what the heck?
Yeah,
no, I'm telling you, man. It's Tom made me, reminded me when he said he's waiting for that little package, and I can help but wonder if he tried with a little knife, just do a little peek.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Just a peek. What the heck? I mean, who's seeing? Nobody's watching me. Yolanda, you're not watching me, are you?
No, I've been very good. In fact, it's still in the cardboard box. And then this weekend, I'm going to take it out of the cardboard box, and then I'm not going to open up the packages until Christmas morning. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see what we get.
Do you have any idea what's in it?
I have no idea. I just know that it's related to something that I love.
Well, definitely send us some pictures, when you do, and pretty interesting.
Why don't you do another unexperienced unboxing of that?
Yeah.
Actually, I might actually. We'll see.
I seen Todd's video, and I said, I'm done doing videos. I said, I can't compete with that.
No.
No, it actually came out better than any of them. I was wondering. I was like, here's a guy. I lack experience. Let her ride. How did you know that?
Yeah, I met a few guys like him in my years, trying to play pool. Oh, I'm horrible at pool, and then next thing you know, they run the table. I don't know, beginner's luck.
No, if it turned out well, that totally was beginner's luck.
Well, let me tell you guys something. When you say beginner's luck, so we're talking about holidays, and this is why it made me laugh when Todd mentioned that, because it reminded me of Abbott and Costello. I was over in my daughter's house earlier today before the snow started, and of course I went to sleep there in the morning for a couple of hours due to the fact I worked an overnight, and I started looking at my DVDs, and this is the bunch I grabbed to watch, because I know I'm going to be stuck, because I think, Joe, they were saying it's going to snow all day till tomorrow night, so we're going to be stuck home all day. And since today is actually my day off, I want to enjoy today and tomorrow. And I bought Mr. Bean, the incomplete series of Mr. Bean.
Oh, I love Mr. Bean.
I bought Fawlty Towers, the complete Fawlty Towers, which I don't know if you know what that one is, but it's also from the same era. Fawlty Towers is with John Cleese, is hilarious. I also bought the Abbott and Costello with the Hold That Ghost, Meet Frankenstein, and I bought Abbott and Costello Colgate Comedy Hour with Mr. Fields. And I was going to be doing some heavy watching tomorrow.
Nice. That's what I plan on doing tonight. I'm going to do some Christmas shows tonight. I'm hooked on that Pluto TV on Roku, so I'm going to go on there and just find some Christmas episodes. And actually on there the other day, speaking of Mr. Bean, they had the I don't know if you remember the New Year's episode where he had two guys over for a New Year's party, and he didn't have no snacks, so he was breaking twigs off, and I think he was putting him in some type of dip, and he was serving them on a plate. And the guys they were just trying to get through the night, so they hurried up and moved the clock like 3 hours ahead to midnight. So they're like, oh, Happy New Year, and they left.
Yeah.
but anyways, tonight we're gonna, for the next little while, we're gonna talk about some Christmas stuff. And Todd, you had on the forum, I wanted to ask you about this in person, so I'm glad you're on. That you replied to one of the things that you actually worked with the wife of one of the guys involved with the Rankin Bass Frosty the Snowman.
Paul Coker Jr. and he went to school in Lawrence, Kansas, and he actually he was an illustrator. He designed one of the very early KU Jayhawk mascots for the team there, and but he went on to illustrate for Mad Magazine for years and years, and he worked for Rankin Bass for a while, and he was the one that did all the conceptual drawings for Frosty, for the animated Frosty, and his wife, we worked together at the newspaper for many years side by side. I was the art director and she was the writer, and we teamed up on the project. And so, like mentioned on the forum, it's like getting their Christmas cards every year is really a treat because, he illustrates them every year, and he does characters of him and Rosie together in kind of Santa suits with some kind of political twist. And I've kept every one that they've ever sent me. It's a great little collection.
How old is he now?
He does have to be up there because I'm late 50s, so I would say they're probably 20 years older than me, kind of in that range. But Paul and I, we used to joke because he's a lot like me. He's really antisocial. He doesn't like to go any place or do anything, and doesn't like people visiting. So Paul and I used to joke that we were one another's best friends because there was no expectations whatsoever. I didn't ever have to worry about him asking me out anywhere, and he didn't have to worry about me asking him to do anything.
That kind of reminds me of, you guys ever watch Parks and Recreation with Ron Swanson on there, where he's like very antisocial, and he says, he goes, I worked with a guy for 3 years. We never said a word to each other. One of my best friends.
Well, what about this one? Every time I look at a sea monkey ad, they're all smiling, and their king is antisocial. Would you believe that? How's that possible?
He's just a ruler in the castle that's there, and he's just kind of standing out, by the window, peering out at all his lower subordinates.
Joe, I'm taking note here. Who did you say that Todd worked with before?
It was Paul Cocker Jr.
Yeah. No,
but his wife, right, Rosemary.
Yeah, I'm taking note here. I got to report this to HR for House of the Unusual. I don't know if he's aware, if he's allowed to do that. You know what I mean?
I know he comes across like he doesn't know this, doesn't, and he got all these little secrets that we're just unfolding. It's like unwrapping a present. It's one of those, you get a big box that's wrapped up as a present, and you open it, and inside there's another box, a smaller one that's wrapped up, and that's like Todd. We just got to keep unwrapping it till we get to the bottom.
Well, I'll slowly reveal this and that, I guess, but anyway, that was just kind of an odd coincidence that you had mentioned that special in particular, and I had that association with Paul's.
Wow.
Yeah, I love all those Rankin Bass Christmas specials. I think they're some of the best out there. Especially Rudolph. That's a classic that everybody definitely watches. And my wife's a big Bumble fan. There's 100 Bumbles just everywhere, and Rudolph and Frosty. That's another one. And I tell you what, there's one that you put up there that I totally forgot about, was Pee-wee's Christmas.
Oh God, I love that. My whole family is big Pee-wee fans, and that's one of our Christmas traditions, is to watch Pee-wee's Christmas special every year.
Eddie, have you ever seen that one? Because I don't remember. I can't recall it. I have to look it up maybe on YouTube or something. I can't recall ever seeing that.
I'll tell you what, man. I did see it. I think, about 20 years ago when my son was very, very small. But you know what happened? The day I went to the convention and I asked Pee Wee, can I take a picture? And he kind of brushed me off because I kind of didn't like him anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he brushed me off, man. I should have told him I knew the man of impeccable character. Maybe he might treat me better next time. You know?
Here's an etiquette tip for you, Eddie. Is like don't approach somebody when they're going to the bathroom.
Well, I mean, you figure, hey, you know, I got to get him sometime without the crowd, you know. But anyway, he just like, in a few minutes I'll be back. And he didn't want to, he didn't let me take the picture. And I'm like, what? But the funny thing about it, the guy in person looked just like the Pee Wee with the makeup. He did a pretty damn job, like it was really, really good. His makeup, it just looked it was good. It was phenomenal, really. But
no, if you haven't seen that, anybody out there, if you haven't seen it, it really is worth a watch because it is like a total 80s trip down memory lane. The crazy cast of guests. He's got Cher popping up and Grace Jones, Shara, the Del Rubio triplets, Annette and Frankie and Annette, Dinah Shore, Whoopi Goldberg, Rich Little. It's just, the whole thing is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'm looking at the photo you have on the forum right now, and man, that's just like a trip down 80s memory lane, man. And
here's something that kind of reminds me. Sometimes it gets you out of whack here with, and I'll bring back Costello again, back to the 40s lane, And he's walking down the steps in the tenement house he lives in the Colgate Comedy Hour. A girl comes up to him, smacks him across the face, and he goes, "What was that all about?" She goes, "You remind me of someone I hate." But anyway, that's kind of like, Todd is a man that no matter what, he's got so many things up his sleeve that leaves us just bewildered and wondering how like right now, when you mentioned that, I remember you had mentioned that, but I had kind of forgotten. Now I have a more of a respect now for this man,
Yeah.
And it's not just impeccable character. Holy cow. I told him, here I am thinking I'm a great, semi good type of art, not an artist, but I can make my own ads, and I was kind of happy with the way I did. He comes out of nowhere and just kind of, I almost hung up my computer in shame, It's like, why am I even going to try to do any more if I can't compete with him,
Oh, that's the saddest story I ever heard, Eddie.
I'm telling you, man. Yep.
So do you guys watch any Christmas movies like around this holiday? Are there any Christmas movies that are like a must watch for you guys now?
Nothing that I watch, but I will say that somebody at work mentioned that Gremlins is a really great and odd Christmas movie. I don't recall the Christmas aspect to Gremlins. Do either of you remember that?
Yeah, the first Gremlins, the original one, it takes place during Christmas. Pretty much the whole episode is during Christmas. That's definitely one of those ones that not many people, and I sometimes forget about it too, being a Christmas movie. But yeah, it's definitely a Christmas movie. It takes place during the holidays. That's a really good one. And actually, my calendar this year, every year I get a new calendar, like an advent calendar, and the one I got this year is actually the Gremlin. So every day I open up a little door and it's a different Gremlin in there. Yeah, a little mini one.
Well, Joe, how close are you to complete your 1,000th view of A Christmas Story?
You know what? I haven't watched it yet this
year.
Yeah,
you're not a true fan, my man. You're breaking my heart, Joe. Please.
I know. I plan on watching it tonight. Once we get done recording and all that here, because it's been a busy couple weeks, and I usually watch A Christmas Story the night of Thanksgiving, and just the last couple weeks have been really hectic, and I finally got everything under control. So I think tonight is going to be A Christmas Story and National Lampoon's Christmas, which is another one I haven't watched this year. And usually by now I would have watched them 30 times already, but
Okay.
I'm hoping tonight's the night. The only really Christmas movie I've watched so far has been Christmas Evil. That's been my start a couple years ago as a tradition. I don't know if you guys ever seen it. It came out in 1980, and it's a crazy Christmas slasher flick, and for some reason it's become like my personal holiday tradition movie.
Oh, awesome.
Oh.
And then there's a few other ones I usually watch, which I posted in the forum. Silent Night, Deadly Night from '84. It's another pretty cool one. Santa Claus versus the Devil, 1959, and that's just that's another crazy one. But probably one of the weirdest ones is Santa Claus Conquers the Martians from 1964. That's just, those movies are so bad that they're good, and I just love them.
I got to tell you something, and I'm going to stop you right there because you just hit something that hit the chord, baby. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, that they made a comic book. The comic book cover has like the perfect robot costume that I love.
Really?
You know the robot costume that they have on that thing?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. That robot costume, my daughter, when she was this is my 34-year-old daughter, when she was very little, she used to like watching Shiny Time Station. And there was this guy in Shiny Time Station. His name was Schemer. And what he did, Shiny Time Station is like the train station. I think it was based out of Canada, where the company was to produce, the movie producer for the show, whatever. And there was one called Schemer's Robot. So what Schemer does is because Schemer's like this all-around guy. He's the maintenance guy. He can do a few things. And what he does is he places an order for a mail order robot, and he gets a huge crate, which I'm sure that they took that somehow again from the mail order comics, from whoever wrote the show definitely has something to do with that in his mind. Maybe reminiscing when he was a kid or whatever. But anyway, the robot comes to the station, and he opens up the robot box, and the robot obviously is a disaster. Everything he does, he programs him, and the robot does everything wrong. But anyway, that robot looks very, very similar to the one in Santa Claus with the Martians that you just mentioned. And I have that original comic book. In fact, I have two because I fell in love with that. And here's what I did. Again, for not being able to find my robot prints that not even Todd, the man of impeccable character, can give for me or get for me with all his connections, unless he's hiding out on me because he's waiting for somebody named Igor to arrive in his mail. But anyway, the thing is that I wanted to say, when I saw that, I made it a point to contact the producers in in New York City to find out where and how much would it cost to have that robot costume, or in other words, what were they going to do with the robot costume once they used it? I don't think they're going to use it more than once. So I contacted the producer, and they got me in contact with the person that actually did the costume, and he wanted $1,000, and he was going to make me a similar one. To be honest with you, at the time this happened, I was like debating, that's a lot of money for a costume, But it just kind of like right now, you just put a light in my head, because I still have the phone number somewhere, of calling them and wondering whatever happened to that Schemer's robot costume. But if you look up on Google and you go to YouTube and look up Shiny Time Station's Schemer's Robot, you'll see that episode is very reminiscent to what we grew up with. And my love for robots, of course, again, because of the plans I can get, have made me obsessed with anything robotic. And anytime I see a robot like that, I always think, and every time Todd calls me, I think he's going to say, "Hey, Eddie, I got it for you." But it doesn't happen, brother. Oh, he'll go, yo, am I got? Yeah, you got it. And he goes, no, I just want to see how you are. And I go, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at Santa Claus Conquers the Martian on Google right now, and
you see the robot?
I see, yeah, and it's a classic.
It's the best, man. That's
old-fashioned robot. The comic book, I didn't know there was a comic book. It's actually pretty cool.
Well, if you've never seen the
No,
movie, Todd. Well, there's a great part of the movie, and Eddie will remember
I have
this.
movie.
Ready?
Yes.
Hooray for Santa Claus! Oh, that song at the end, "Hooray for Santa Claus," is just there's just too much awesome in that movie. I mean,
that movie looks like somebody if you watch the film, it must have been put for under $25 with camera and equipment included in price.
I'm looking online. It had a budget around $200,000, but I don't know where they put that movie or where they put all that money at.
That movie was the most simplest movie. It's where Santa Claus gets, kidnapped by by Martians. It's really corny, man.
That's why I said it's so bad that it's good, and I watch it every year. And the other one, the Santa Claus versus the Devil, or sometimes it's called Santa Claus. It's a Mexican fantasy holiday film, and I'm a huge fan of Mexican horror. It's just, if you've never watched Mexican horror movies from 50s, 60s, 70s, they're a treat, and they're just absolutely wild. But it's funny because I was reading an article about Santa Claus versus the Devil, which came out in 1959, and they were talking about how it was a holiday movie, but they didn't want the posters to look too like horror-ish, I guess, with devils and monsters on it. So they made it look like they wanted it to be like a Disney type movie poster, and so all these kids were like, hey, we're going, and on the posters it just said Santa Claus. It didn't say Santa Claus versus the Devil. It just said Santa Claus, and it had like a little magic castle on it and Santa on his reindeers, and it looks very family friendly. So the producers they made those posters so that kids could say, hey, Mom, Dad, we want to go watch Santa Claus, and they're like, oh yeah, that looks like a nice wholesome holiday movie. They're going to watch this demon Pitch, who was sent to Earth by Lucifer, trying to kill Santa Claus so kids could do evil and all. I mean, it is a wild, visceral ride, man.
I grabbed one of the boxes. I grabbed this 50 horror movies. There's one that you kind of reminded me that looks similar to that. It's called The Amazing Mr. X or something like that. I forgot. There is a good old 1950s film. It's actually filmed in color, and it's called The Man with the Extra Eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Film, it reminds me a little bit of like I Dream of Jeannie, because it has kind of like the same layout setting, but it's a good film. Yeah.
There's definitely some weird ones out there, but like I said, Christmas Evil is another good one. I had mentioned that earlier. It came out in 1980. It was kind of like around when like the slasher genre was just catching steam in the late 70s, early 80s, and it is just Christmas. It's about, if you guys have never seen it or anybody out there has never seen it, it's about this guy who, from a young child, he was obsessed with Christmas and obsessed with Santa Claus. So as he's older, he works in a toy factory, and he's in his maybe 40s or 50s, and he keeps these books on all the neighborhood kids, and he has their names and all the good deeds and bad deeds they did. So he finally, ends up flipping his lid, and he dresses up as Santa Claus, and he starts going out and he starts killing adults that are not in the Christmas spirit. And it is just like, it is this wild 80s slasher ride, man. And the story's so simple, and they had to produce the movie for $5, but it is just, it's a fun, holiday slasher, I guess.
One movie's really wild that it was really good. It was a great film. And then when it got to the end, you're like, did they just run out of money, or are they going to film part 2? No Country for Old Men.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
You guys,
is that a holiday one, or is that?
No. It's not a holiday film. It's called No Country for Old Man. I hope I got look that up on your side there, Joe, and see if it is. It's called No Country for Old Men, and I forgot who the actor is, but it's this guy who is a killer, and he kills with the thing they use for the cows to brand the cows or to kill cows. It looks like a fire extinguisher, and he puts it up to the head of the people, and then you get pop. It actually cuts a hole right into the head, whatever. But it's a film that when it gets to the end, it's really weird. I mean, the only thing I can tell you got to watch it, because here for some reason you kind of root for the bad guy over the, which is kind of weird in a way, because the bad guy, like, he kills, but he kills and he justifies himself in the killing he does. Let's say, for example, if he tells you and asks you a question, you lie to him, he said, I'm going to kill you. I'm killing you not because you lied, but I have to kill you because you lied,
Yeah, that's kind of like Christmas Evil. Like you this guy who's like, he's obviously a homicidal like maniac and got some problems, but like you kind of feel bad for him, and he's actually like killing like all these adults who are just like horrible people, and
right.
But he wants to take these presents to an orphanage, and his company, they're trying to skim money and this and that. So it's really got some
the film
some socioeconomic subplots to it, but it's movies like that are pretty.
No,
pretty
but
cool.
the guy I'm talking about is Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Did The Man in Black.
Oh,
Tommy
yeah,
Lee
yeah.
Jones, he's the one that did that thing, No Country, and he's supposed to be the sheriff in that film. And then, but I'm telling you, if you guys haven't watched it, it's a good film. But the only thing is, the ending is kind of like abrupt. It's kind of like that film of Clint Eastwood called Hang 'Em High, which you like, did it just finish?
Yeah.
It finishes where he gets to the town, and then they just have like a music and nothing else goes on. And you're like, what happened to part two, And I hate when they do that, because it leaves you in the air. But that particular film, though, was really, really good. Now, what I consider a good film, or not that it's a good film or not, but the films, especially the old films that I would like, had something to do with a robot in it. Like, for example, there's another one called The Aztec Mummy. That also,
oh yeah, that's a good one.
That also has a pretty good robot design in there. There's one called the something of New York. What is it? The gigantic? What is it? The of New York. Gosh, I forgot it. The guy it's a robot, but it looks like a robot monster, some sort. And do you know which one I'm talking about, Todd?
Googling.
You guys? Something of New York. The Colossal of New York. The Colossal of New York was also a really good film. Not good. The film is, but it's just that the robot and stuff. But my favorite robots on those films are the Aztec Mummy, the Santa Claus. Isn't it Santa Claus Conquers the Martians?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Santa Claus Conquers. I thought you said Santa Claus. I forgot. I thought you gave it a different title, but I think anyway.
No, that was the other one with Santa Claus versus the Devil, which was the Mexican.
No.
Versus the Santa Claus Conquers the Martians was an American.
Yeah, right. That's the one that has the really cheesy, good-looking robot in there. I mean,
that robot. I'm looking at the robot now, and that is just such a cheesy looking. It looks like somebody was like, just spray paint some cardboard and silver, and.
But that's what a robot has to look like, man. I mean, we don't. That's like, how can you have Todd not looking like one of the sea monkey men? No. You have to keep that. Let me ask you this question though. If you see very closely, that robot right there, that robot also kind of reminds me of the one from the episode that it's also one of my favorite, the Bugs Bunny episode, where the evil genius is making that big giant robot, and he has like light bulb eyes and stuff like that. Because of that, if you notice the 8-foot robot that I built 3 times, I put together one. The first one, it took me, oh my gosh, about 3 weeks. I'm on the floor there. I ordered from, I think it was Fidelity Office Products at the time, this 48 by 24 inch cardboard things you put like in between the pallets. The cardboard's like a flat cardboard, 200-pound corrugated cardboard, just like the submarine is made of, 200-pound test fiber board. And it came in packs of 24. And I started making the instructions and putting together this gigantic robot, which I do have a picture of it somewhere. I have to find it to send it to you guys. And man, I had it in the living room. I was so proud of it. And my wife could only look at it each day and hate it. And I actually put together this huge robot, cardboard robot, that you can actually get in. And I never got the chance to get in because one day I got home and my wife came with the excuse that it fell, and she dumped it on me, man.
Now speaking of Christmas presents, what are some of your guys' like most memorable Christmas gifts that you've gotten, maybe from a kid when you were a child, or maybe as an adult? What's something
I'll tie the robot conversation into Christmas, because when I was a kid, I got a Lost in Space robot, and I got to tell you, man, that was one damn good Christmas. We have home movies of me on the kitchen linoleum floor with my little robot going to town and me prancing around in my jammies, and I'm a happy camper that Christmas. I still have that thing. It's pretty beaten up, but man, I still got my Lost in Space robot. Yep.
Do you really?
Do you know that movies like that on the internet sell pretty well? just because that robot is the most famous. But I think I have a feeling inside of me a little bit here that that Mr. Joe here kind of dislikes robots a little, But
no, I love robots. I just I like the
my heart there, Joe. You broke my
What's
heart.
that?
I thought you didn't. You called my robot cheesy, man. But
oh, there's a lot of them cheesy, but I really like the vintage metal ones, the ones that came out of Japan in like the 40s, 50s, and 60s. I really kind of dig those, and they go for so much money on eBay. It's like it's impossible to grab a decent one. But yeah, I like the older style ones, and I really like the robots that were portrayed in the old serials from like the 30s and 40s. They were kind of like cheesy as well, just like Conquers the Martian. But they really, if you put yourself in that setting in the 30s and 40s when there was no robots, and you see this on screen, I could imagine a 7-year-old or 8-year-old's mind just going wild with what they're watching on screen. So I really like the vintage type robots.
Let me tell you something. When we're talking about robots and old films and stuff, some old films, and I'm talking about classic films that are some of the best to this day, such as Forbidden Planet, The Day the Earth Stood Still. The most famous robot, obviously, it's got to be B9, which is the Lost in Space. I don't know. To me, it's kind of like a toss-up between Robbie, the robot from Forbidden Planet, and B9. Now, I kind of go towards B9, which is the Lost in Space, a little bit more. And the reason I gravitate to him a little more is because as a kid, when you watch the episode of Lost in Space where Robbie fights the B9 robot, as a kid, you get scared of the Robbie robot, So I think because of that, I kind of feared the robot a little more, and I like better the Lost in Space one. And that toy that Todd had is probably the most famous. I mean, today they do over $500, $600, $700. You can never get them for any less. I have mine that I got without the box, and then I got the box somewhere for like $80 or something like that, and I was able to put the two together.
So Eddie, what was you're skipping around the question? You see what he does, Todd?
What was the?
What was your favorite holiday? Your favorite Christmas?
Well, I was just about to tell you that. I was just mentioning the different robots and stuff. My favorite, it's kind of like talking about skipping around the subjects here, is when I was given my first Superman Halloween costume by my aunt. I think nothing hit the core more than getting a real Superman costume, especially when you used to watch George Reeves in the 1960 series of The Amazing Adventures of Superman. So that to me was the killer.
You got that for Christmas?
I still
You got the Superman costume for Christmas?
Yeah, she had it, bought it in Halloween, and I guess and gave it to me in Christmas. And that's the one that appears in back of Mail Order Mysteries that I'm wearing. It's actually that costume. And I still have that original picture because I was so proud of it. You know what I mean?
You still have the costume?
The costume, yes, I do, Joe.
So you
Did
still
you really
wear
want
it,
me to
you know,
tell you?
at
No,
night?
I can't wear it, Joe, but I still have it.
You still try to fit it in and run around the house with the
Well,
cape and
the thing is that I wasn't too happy with the cape that came with it, and my mom actually made me a cape that she put an S in the back because I just didn't understand why the costume did not have shorts and an S in the back.
That picture now,
But,
Eddie, it's on page 154 for anybody out there who wants to see it. And it looks like it's made out of really shiny material.
Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah, the polyethylene, whatever it was, the plastic. I was very proud of that, my friend. I wore that with pride, man. That was.
Do you remember who made that? The costume?
Yeah, Ben Cooper.
Okay.
The other thing I was going to say is when you say, what was my best Christmas as well. I mean, unfortunately, I got to be honest with you. In the 1970s, the robot that Todd is talking about was 1960s. 1970s, there was no such thing as a B9 robot that I would have gotten. I don't think they made any that I know of. They might have made knockoffs, but not any licensed products. Now, the robots that I did like in the 1970s are the robots that were metallic, the Japanese ones made in Hong Kong and stuff that are worth a lot today. But I mean, I do have a pretty large collection. The best one being the Smoking Spaceman from Japan, which is probably one of the most expensive and best looking. But getting to the question again that I swayed away from it twice, trying to tell my story. So the question is the second best Christmas, which is probably the one that actually, I mean, the Superman, I still remember the same exact day and the part of the room I got it and everything. I can still remember myself looking at it like, holy cow. When I saw the S through the box, I'm like, I can't believe I got this. But what I was going to say to you, though, was the second year after that, I had, I think it was 1976 now, 70, or maybe 73. I'm sorry, it could have been 73 or, I don't remember if it was 73 or it was between 73 and 76. There was that one Christmas that I got the following gifts. The Haunted Mansion board game from Lakeside. I got the Ghost Gun from Hasbro. And I got the TV Magic set that I did the unboxing for, the large deluxe TV Magic set. And my mom also got me a little bit before Christmas. She got me Gunfight at OK Corral. Those were like literally the best games I ever had. And that to me was probably the number one or number two Christmas. Number one was the other one with the Superman, but the one that I can remember the most, because the one with Superman is the only thing I could remember from that Christmas because I was a lot younger. But the one with those games, my God, I kept them all until I had the fire in 1995, all in mint condition. I've tried to recuperate my Haunted Mansion game, but I'm kind of reluctant to give $400 for a board game, But that's what it goes for. I mean, I had it, so it's not like I need to say, hey, I would love to have it because I didn't have it. I had it for like 20, 30 years of my life. So, I had it. I looked at it a million times. So having it again would be a good thing, but it's not like a necessity. So if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But I did have all that. And the TV Magic set, I got it again, and it was a bomb because if you notice, the condition was really horrible. But the Hasbro Ghost Gun, I did get a new one also. But it's, that is the Christmas I can really treasure the most. But
it's funny how we all try to, recuperate a lot of things that we've had from our childhood over the years, and how now, I mean, even though with eBay and everything else, how hard it is to try to find some of these items, and when you do find them, the prices sometimes are just, outrageous.
What about you, Joe? What was a big childhood memory for you, Christmas wise?
That I was trying to think. and I don't really.
Excuse me, you're the one that came up with the question, buddy. So don't try to shy off now that you don't have an answer to it.
No, you know, I do have an answer, but when I'm thinking back on my childhood Christmases, there's not really any particular items that I really recall. I used to get a lot of G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe toys, stuff like that. I do remember getting some of those, but I think one of my most memorable and best Christmases was actually last year when my wife had got me a vintage Bela Lugosi blow mold, which I've been wanting for years. And then she also got me this Incredible Hulk toy chest. It's a blow mold from the 70s, I think 72 or something like that. And, I had seen it at my local toy store, and I'd been eyeing it for like a year, and, she ended up getting it for me. So that was, probably last year was one of my most memorable Christmases,
Awesome.
Getting those two items. But, looking back at the childhood, I don't recall, specifics of what I received. I just remember, G.I. Joes or, He-Man stuff, because that's what I was,
Sure.
playing with in the 80s. But mostly from the Christmases back then, I just remember more than the gifts, like just the feeling, like I said earlier in the podcast, of just like the magic of the time and trying to catch Santa, and how fun it was to be around family and all that, and of course presents. That's always the best.
Mr. Joe, hold it here. Am I led to believe from a previous episode that you had mentioned that Dracula was one of your best? Am I correct?
Yeah.
You love Dracula, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then the other question I want to ask you, since you did love Dracula and stuff like that, why would you do the same thing that the TV stations do when they say, and this new Jaguar, when it's Jaguar, but they say Jaguar? Why would you say Lugosi instead of Lugosi? Bela Lugosi.
Bela Lugosi. Potato.
You break my heart, Mr. Joe. But
Potato.
But you do understand that you do understand that you did bring up the question with the Christmas, and yet you didn't give us the answer like we gave it to you. Now, what do you think Joe's pulling?
Is a fast one?
I think so, man.
I gave you mine. I said last year's was my best one. Like I said, my memory is shot from. I'm lucky I remember what I did this morning, but that's my memories from childhood.
Listen, I can't forget my wife throwing out my beautiful 7-8 foot robot man. And then I put together one out of wood, and I had to take it out of here and hide it before she threw it out on me too. It took me a month just working on it, cutting up the wood, getting the sheet metal to cover it. And they're like, they laughed at me because I made it look like the Bugs Bunny old metal one with the cylinder head and light bulb for the eyes. But let me tell you, my man, I had that originally the first version I had of that. I put it in my magic shop in the window, and it attracted a lot of people. Liked it, man. That stuff is just genuine, and it brings us back to where we come from, the time when we could dream and order things and bigger than life robots and Frankensteins.
And that's kind of what I kind of picture the season is now. It's still bigger than life kind of, and we still try to catch Santa on Christmas morning and hope he brings us that robot or the Haunted Mansion, or in Todd's case another Sea Monkey Kingdom or something that he could roll.
But in keeping with the Christmas and the space robot kind of theme, another big thing for me when I was a kid was Major Matt Mason, and I'm older than you guys, so you might have missed the Major Matt Mason craze.
I have the gun kit, Mr. Todd. What are you talking about?
That was a big thing for me. Well, space travel was big, when I was a kid, because we had gone to the moon and all of that sort of thing. So everybody was really ripe for space. But there was this whole series called Major Matt Mason, and he had all these space crawlers and these space friends. But the absolute coolest piece of the entire Major Matt Mason line was the alien called Scorpio, and he was hot pink and purple. And you should look him up online because he is really cool. And talk about something from your childhood that's now worth a lot of money. Scorpio.
Yeah. All those toys are tough to find.
Okay, I have a question now that we're talking about our childhood here and all of you. Did any of you two, and don't pull my leg now, did any of you two take the X-ray glasses, look at a light, street light with a light outside in the dark and see the
Never.
image X-ray glasses? Okay,
No.
you know why that is? You remember, Todd, that you told me that one of them has the bigger lens, and the one with the bigger lens is the one that has it. So I actually am gonna take a photograph of it, looking at his
good.
and I'm gonna email it to both of you. Because I mean, I knew you guys were we looked at it when you did it. I figured, just keep the guy happy.
Anything to get you off the phone, Eddie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man! It's kind of like I knew it. I said, well, I did also the thing for this alien glasses I got here, whatever it is, that were put out by the name of the company was Gemmy Specs. I don't know. This was a couple of years ago. I don't know what they used it for, but anyway, it's the same principle. But anyway, what I was gonna say is when we're talking about all this fun stuff, growing up and stuff, I gotta tell you the truth. I saw Mr. Todd sent a kit of sea monkeys over to Mr. Joe, and I did see that. And I got to tell you, down deep, I said, man.
I sent you one.
But anyway, well, when did you? Oh, yes, that's right. You did send me one, so I'll take it.
Wow. Well, Todd, he likes to have 10 or 15 of each item. So
I'm dropping Eddie, and it's just going to be you and I hanging out from here on out.
Oh man!
I'm telling you, man.
What I'm gonna do? No, you know what? You guys also forgot another beautiful thing, and this I'm gonna tell Todd. You killed it, brother. That State Road sign with the Addams family. Well, that's really. You saw that, Joe?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, you got to go to the website and look at that. I think it's under general questions, whatever. General discussions. There's a street sign that he has with the modern Addams Family cartoon, whatever it is. But the street sign looks like it's a real sign, behind it.
Oh, wow.
And he put, welcome to New Jersey, houseoftheunusual.com. It's really good, man.
Well, hey, guys, we're getting down the end of the podcast here. So let's take about 45 seconds each and give our final thoughts, any holiday wishes and all that, because this show will come out next week, I believe the 23rd. So take about 45 seconds each and, give your final thoughts and some good holiday wishes.
Okay, well, I'll just say happy holidays to everybody. And I hope people of the older generation can look back and reflect on something special that happened to them as a kid. And I hope the younger generation is gaining those experiences now that are going to last their lifetime and affect them when they're in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. So happy holidays to everybody, whatever age you are. And I hope at some point you get something that really floats your boat and makes you happy.
Awesome. All right, Eddie, it's on you. 45 seconds. I'm timing you, not a second longer. You and Todd both got it going.
Well, it's very simple. I want to tell everybody happy, Merry Christmas. God bless the family. Enjoy it. Do whatever you can. And most of all, don't forget, whenever you guys go to the store, buy a set of sea monkeys. And remember, the ruler of sea monkeys resides with House of the Unusual, and come back and visit him and talk with him about your famous, adventure with the old new sea monkeys.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys, for being on. Everybody out there, thanks for listening. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody. And just remember, it's a season of fun, a season of giving, and a season of wonder. Don't lose that childhood aspect of yourself, even if it's for one day. Keep that child in you, happy and full of wonder. So check us out, houseoftheunusual.com, and check us out every Wednesday on our podcast. And thanks for listening, Todd. Eddie, thank you for stopping in as always.
And one final thing, Joe, don't forget that we did our first live podcast on the YouTube channel, houseoftheunusual.com.
Absolutely. Check it out. And
we're going to continue to do live ones coming the following weeks and stuff. Anyway, having said that, thank you all.
Night, guys. Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and good night.